Our honorable guests, speakers, and reactors, to our supporting partners from PCID, NPFI, and the PHA Foundation, to our beloved professors and students, and to everyone else, a pleasant afternoon. This seminar, as you can see, is entitled The Impact of 8 Agencies on the Development of Muslims in Mindanao. It is organized by the Senior Political Science students, specifically 441, as a requirement for the Seminar 1 course under our brilliant Professor Alfredo Estoreta. These seminars is part of the lecture series of our partners, the PCID, NPFI, and the PHA Foundation. To formally open our today's activity, let me start by conceptualizing development as well as signifying the importance of 8 agencies for one country's development. What is development? What does development necessitate? How can we classify development? How can a third world country achieve development? How can the Philippines attain progress? These and other related questions have already produced a number of scholarly studies aiming to achieve concrete and accurate answers to these seemingly irresolvable as well as difficult to determine but hardly perceived to be unimportant questions. Undeniably, achieving development is not as easy as some would perceive it to be. A number of factors have to be considered first before actual development can be attained. Some would say development can only be achieved if we first try to change the system of government that we have. It could be that our country is only looking for new forms of government to be able to develop. Some would say our country seems to be much more suitable for a parliamentary form of government than the current government that we have. Less powerful executive, less chances for a winner-take-all rule, a term derived by Aaron Park from coherent scholar names. Some would say that in order to avoid too much centralization of power that usually results in the abuse of its use, we must change our government from a unitary form of government to a federal one. Less from being structural but still political instead. Some scholars associated development with political freedom and democracy. One of the proponents of this kind of thinking is Francis Fukuyama, who associated development with liberal democracy. Using Hegel's concept of interactional as well as a linear end of history, Fukuyama wrote about the victory of liberal democracy at the end of history. Development can be achieved as part of the process of democratizing. The more we uphold the principles of democracy, the more we develop. John Bradshaw Rebel is also a scholar of democracy. By emphasizing the genesis of communism, he makes mention how development goes hand in hand with democracy. Though giving out some negative things that are common in democratic countries, Rebel still favor democracy. For him, democracy is the only system of government that is well suitable for development. Aside from this, there are many other ways of looking at development as a concept. As one professor of mine was saying, development is multidimensional. It has different phases. Development has to be something that encapsulates not only the political aspect of a society, but society's economic and social aspects as well. It is most often the case that development is associated with economic progress. Most of the time, researchers would look at the country's GNP in order to determine one country's level of development. Advancement of social capabilities is also a determinant of development. Government's capability to provide the basic necessities of the people is also being measured. Undeniably, these three aspects of society are interrelated. One country can achieve development only if it can combine these three important requisites. Political development can be achieved for as long as it goes together with economic and social changes. Similarly, economic progress is hardly probable without political and social transformations. Likewise, improvement of social capabilities can be made possible through some political and economic reforms. Knowing the fact that development is multidimensional and that includes essential factors that are interrelated, there remains a highly controversial as well as complicated question, and this is the question of what should go first. Rebel has raised this question in his work, Democracy Against Itself. He mentioned the third world country's dilemma of which of the two, political development or economic progress, should be prioritized first. In talking the possible answer to this puzzle, he pointed out how different countries could have different positions or stances in this case. Countries compared to the Soviet Union would most likely choose to have political changes before economic reforms. This is because of what they perceive to be their problem is actually their political system. Communism has definitely hindered this development. If they are not to change the principles of seeking their political development, it could be ironic to look at a possible economic reform. On the other hand, China would have a different answer to this question. Economic reforms should be made first. Being one of those having fast-growing economy today, it would be needless to assume that they have made the wrong decision of having economic change first. In raising this point, a Marxist and Indian scholar is also worth emphasizing. Then pointed out two different processes for achieving development. One he called the growth mechanism process, and the other he called the support-led process of development. The former process, as defined by Ken, works through fast economic growth, and its success depends on the growth process being wide-based and economically growth, and also on the utilization of the enhanced economic prosperity to expand the relevant social services. On the other hand, the latter works through a program of skillful social support of healthcare, education, and other relevant social arrangements. In short, growth mechanism process uses economic growth primarily to help sustain social capabilities. In contrast, support-led processes refer to the enhancement of social capabilities of people such as healthcare, education, and others in order to attain economic progress. What then is trying to show here is whether economic reforms should be made first or that social capabilities must be sufficed first. People are to be an economist, the primary commodity that can be used to achieve development. Filipinos are said to be naturally adept. What we need to do is to enhance these skills that our brothers have by providing first the basic necessities of people. Educate them, make them healthy, provide their basic needs. All of these most likely need to us to have well-able Filipino citizens who know how to fight for their rights, which will lead to political development, and who have the capacity to raise money for a successful business, which should be a stepping stone for economic progress. The government is a public institution that is primarily tasked to provide services to people. Unfortunately, the Philippines is not a rich country, and thus it is not surprising to know that our government cannot make everyone be satisfied, most especially people suffering from poverty. Due to insufficient funds, the government is able to provide people's basic necessities, which are, as I pointed out earlier, important to help improve our citizens for political and economic development. This is the point where we can vividly see the importance of aid agencies. Aid agencies suffice the insufficiencies of the government. Hopefully, through these seminars and all of these about the importance of aid agencies on the development of the Filipino nation, specifically Muslim Mindanao. With this, I end my opening remarks.